unido jamás será vencido.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
Hello community, thank you for tuning in. We hope this video finds you and your familias well and safe. During the current historical moment of a global pandemic and what we recognize as a capitalist crisis, Unión del Barrio knows the importance of sharing resources and information with you all. The focus of this video will be emergency preparedness. The intention is to place our families in the best position to be able to deal with any emergency, whether it be a global pandemic like we're experiencing now or any natural disaster. We will break down emergency preparedness in 4 categories. The first will be foods and liquids. The second would be a first aid kit. Third, essential equipment to have in the home. And fourth, a family/neighborhood plan. For the first category, foods and liquids, it's important that you store a 2-week supply of food and water. It's recommended that each person consume at least 1 gallon of water per day. So you want to keep that in mind when you're planning ahead for how much water to store. In regard to food items, you want to gather long-lasting food items like canned goods, protein bars, cereals, beans, rice. It's important to remember the babies and toddlers in the household if there are any, so that you gather items like formula. If you have any pets, you want to make sure that you plan extra for water and that you also have extra pet food. It's also an amazing time for us to strengthen our practices with growing our own foods like fruits, veggies, herbs, and spices. If you already do this, sharing is caring. We encourage you to place a fruit/veggie basket outside of your home to share your harvest with your neighbors or any community members who may be houseless and not have those resources to be able to gather foods in advance. The second category is a first aid kit. A first aid kit is any box or bag that holds supplies to treat any minor injuries like cuts, burns, bruises, sprains. It's a really good idea to have at least 1 first aid kit in the home and even 1 in your car. You can purchase an already assembled first aid kit from local stores like Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, or you can put together your own first aid kit. If you were to do the latter, you want to make sure to include items like Band-Aids of varying sizes, a thermometer, ice packs, a bottle of alcohol, sterile gauze. You want to make sure to include wipes and diapers for the babies, tampons and pads, any medications that you regularly take, prescribed or daily vitamins. And it's always a good idea to have extras of daily essentials like toothpaste and toothbrushes, in addition to any of the other items that you see listed on your screen. In category 3, for essential equipment, you should include tools that would be useful in any given emergency situation. You should make sure to store all of your essential equipment in the same place, whether it be a backpack or a storage bin. Some of the items that you could include in your essential equipment would be things like a hammer, a flashlight, batteries of different types, a rope, duct tape, a compass, a hammer, a needle and a thread. And it's also always a great idea to have a printout of a local map in case you were not to have access to the internet. And any of the other items that you'll see listed on your screen. Last, but definitely not least, you want to make sure to have a family and neighborhood preparedness plan. Since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, ICE has continued to detain our undocumented community members, going so far as to pretending to be medical personnel. Because we come from working class communities, lots of our community members work in fields that deem them as essential workers. This not only requires our people to go out there and expose themselves to a health risk, but it also puts them at risk of being kidnapped by the state. Although we never want to wish that this is the situation with your family, we want to make sure that we prepare for a worst case scenario. Within your family preparedness plan, you want to make sure that you include a childcare plan. If in case you were to not be able to continue to care after the children within your household, you want to make sure to identify a trusted adult who would be able to take over. You want to make sure to communicate your plan to this trusted adult as well as the children. You want to make sure that they're on the same page and that it's not a surprise to them. In addition to a childcare plan, you also want to make sure to keep a notepad that includes emergency telephone numbers, addresses, and names of any emergency contacts. You want to make sure that this information is written out by hand. If in case we were to not be able to have access to our telephones, cell phones, or any other electronic devices that we usually rely on to hold this information. Next, it's also a good idea to establish a safe word for your household, especially for the children. The function of a safe word is to signal to everyone in your household that there is a potentially emergency situation at hand. You want to make sure that the safe word is not too complex so that the children forget it. You want to make sure that everyone in your household knows what to do after the safe word is used, whether it be for the children to lock themselves in the safest place in your home or to call a certain number. You want to make sure that you practice and everyone is on the same page as far as what the next steps are after the safe word is used. You also want to make sure to always keep your vehicles at a full gas tank. You never know when you might have to travel or when an emergency situation happens that you'd have to go to a hospital or to gather goods. You want to make sure to keep your gas tanks at full. You also want to make sure to somewhere in your home, keep a stash of cash. You never know when electricity might go out. We might not have access or be able to get to ATM machines or our banks. And so you want to make sure to always keep a stash of cash. Now, important documents. You want to make sure that you centralize important documents in one place in the home, whether that be property deeds, insurance policies, passports, birth certificates, custody agreements. In an emergency situation, you'll be really glad to have access and to be able to find everything that you're looking for in a moment's time. In closing, we would like to emphasize that it is not our intention to cause any more fear or panic. We live in a capitalist society where our working class communities have largely always been exploited for our labor and rarely compensated livable wages. It is for that reason that we see emergency preparedness as a necessary investment. We have to remember that our communities have never truly had everything that we've needed in order to live dignified, healthy, safe lives. But we are a resilient people. We're a creative people who have survived other crises by unifying together. And what's important here is that we learn from these emergencies and that we begin to be proactive about emergency preparedness, one item at a time. Visit our website, uniondelbarrio.org, for more resources, and we call on you to join Unión del Barrio, to fight for the basic human rights of our communities, to join our fight to live lives that we deserve. Ni demócratas ni republicanos, solo el pueblo organizado vencerá.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
El pueblo